What's going on, everybody? SquallyPillow here, coming at you with a video where I'm going to give you my thoughts on a topic in the video game world. What is my topic today? Well, that is the length of video games. That's right, it's a topic everybody has an opinion on. Are they too short? Are they too long? What is just right? And I'm here to talk to you about that today. Why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about the length of video games today in 2014? Well, it's real simple, and that's one game, Alien Isolation. I am a big Aliens fan. You know, the first movie came out before I was born, but I remember seeing it for the first time. I remember seeing Aliens 3, Aliens Resurrection. I've seen them all. Alien versus Predator. Love the Alien universe. And you know what? I still think the first movie is the best. You know, Ridley Scott's vision of that alien universe was fantastic. James Cameron in Aliens was pretty decent. It was good. I mean, it's a great movie, but it's an action. I really like the suspenseful horror of the first Alien movie. So when I saw Alien Isolation, that game coming out, I said, hallelujah, this is the Alien game we have been waiting for. And I've been waiting for reviews with bated breath because, you know, if it got decent reviews, I was going to pick it up. Now, I don't know what to do because I'm seeing two sides. I'm seeing some great reviews, and I'm seeing some poor reviews. But one thing all the reviews, or well, I won't say all the reviews, but 90% of the reviews have in common, they complain about the length. They say it's too long. How can a video game be too long? We're paying $60-$70 for this game, depending where you live. Why? It's too long? What? Don't I deserve to get my money's worth? Well, you know what? I'm here to tell you that yes, games can be too long. That's right. Games can be too long. You know, there's some great 20-hour games, 30-hour games. The whole Mass Effect series. I played the entire Mass Effect series, well worth my time. But on the flip side, there's a lot of other games that are long, have a great story, a decent, mediocre story, and you get 15 hours into it, and it's like, God, do I really feel like playing anymore? And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen with Aliens. So I'm here to tell you that shorter can be better. Not always, but shorter can be better. There are some great games out there that have a short time frame, but a great story. And I'm going to throw one out there, Spec Ops: The Line. If you haven't played this first-person shooter, I suggest you pick it up. You can get it at bargain basement prices now for either 360, PS3, or PC. And you know what? If you have not played it, pick it up. You know, you can play through the game in easy 5 hours, maybe 6, but it has amazing story for a first-person shooter. Fantastic story. I played through that game in 2 sittings. I would have played through it for 1, but I started playing it at like 11 o'clock at night and 2 in the morning. I said, you know what, I got to go to bed. But I came back the next day, sat down, and finished it because it was such a great story. How many video games can you say that about, right? Not that many. And what about the Call of Duty franchise? I mean, those stories, especially since, Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Call of Duty 4, 5-6 hours you can play through those campaigns. If they were any longer than that, would you actually play through them? Would you come back and finish those if it was 15 or a 20-hour campaign? No. I mean, they have some decent storylines, but it's not going to keep you engaged for 15 hours. That's what Spec Ops: The Line did fantastic. I mean, it knew what it was doing. It told the story. I actually wanted it to go on, and you know what? It probably could have gone a little longer, but I was glad that it didn't. I was glad it ended, and I was glad it just had a solid story. And what about all the indie games? And I'll use Guacamelee as an example because that's a game I've actually played through twice. I played through it on PC, and when it was the free Xbox Live Games with Gold, I played through it there as well. So, you know what? That's a story, a game, not necessarily story-driven. It has a story, but it's a pretty, flimsy loose story. But great gameplay mechanics that has enough to keep you busy. If it kept going on and it, say, doubled or tripled the size of that universe, its gameplay mechanics would have got repetitive. It would have kept repeating over and over. That's a game where you get a new move every 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And you know what? They would have had to keep adding for that to go on. Without that, I would have got bored. So really, what am I trying to say here? I talked about Guacamelee, talked about Spec Ops, talked about Call of Duty. What am I really trying to say about the length of video games? What length is better, is right? Is short, long, medium length? And I'll tell you this. A game needs to be as long as a game needs to be. And what do I mean by that? Well, it needs to be driven by either the story or the mechanic. So Spec Ops, Call of Duty, those are games that are driven by the story. You know what? You shoot people. How many mechanics can you add in those games? It's all driven by story and mission based. So once you tell your story, you don't need to keep going on. Guacamelee has a story, but it's really more mechanics and gameplay based. They add new moves. You get a new move every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour at most. And once you have all the moves, does that game need to go on? No, it needs to throw you in a few situations to use all of them, test your skills with them, and then, you know what, it needs to wrap it up, is what it did. I think the best example of that, and I may catch some flack for this, saying this game was the right length, was Portal. I love Portal. Played it several times. Played Portal 2 as well. Would love a Portal 3. I don't know if we'll ever see it. I mean, you know, Valve is scared of the number 3, but love Portal. Was it the right length? Yeah, I think it was. Why? Because it had a story. Great story, actually, Portal had. And amazing credits on to summarize that story, but it was really the mechanics that drove that gameplay. And if they kept recycling puzzle ideas, so we're just doing the same thing, but it may be in a different order, would it have been fun? No, it would have got stale and old. So I say it's the right length because it was driven by its mechanics. Once we had all the mechanics and had used them in several different ways, we combined them in multiple ways to solve puzzles. And then, you know what, the game was over. Then you move to Portal 2. What did they do to extend that gameplay? Well, they added new mechanics. They added the gels that you could bounce higher, you could slide on the floor, those types of things. They did the multiplayer, the two-player campaign. That's how they extended the gameplay. And, you know, if they hadn't have done that, would it Portal of 2 been as good if they just repeated the puzzles? Probably not. So a game needs to be as long as a game needs to be. And we need to get this length out of our minds. It's like a movie. If you can tell your story in an hour and a half and it's a great story and you sit there on the edge of your seat for the whole hour and a half, but then somebody says, nope, it needs to be 2 hours, add another half hour. Well, you're going to turn it into a Peter Jackson movie where you just have King Kong fighting a T-Rex for 20 minutes to add length. And you know what? It's going to hurt the movie. And it also hurts the game. Adding backtracking, adding, you know, these search quests that we all know are just there to artificially lengthen the game. Don't make a game better or don't give it better value. It makes the game worse. So a game needs to be as long as a game needs to be, driven by either the story or the mechanics. Once either of those have run their course, the game needs to end. And that's my opinion. So what are my thoughts on Alien Isolation? Well, I'm scared that game's too long. You know, I see people saying that. I know if that's true, which, you know, with the multi reviews saying it probably is. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to play for maybe 5-10 hours. It's going to start to get repetitive. I'm hiding from the alien. I'm running from the alien. You know what? There's no new mechanics. And I'm going to get bored and never finish that game. So is it worth my $60, $70 if I never finish it? No, it's not. So that's my thoughts on length. A game needs to be as long as a game needs to be. As long as it can keep me entertained, then you know what? Keep going. The flip side of that is, you know what? There is a limit to that. Am I going to pay $60 for an hour-long video game? No. And I kind of equate it to a movie. I'll go to a movie. It's going to cost me $20 by the time I get I drive there and I get my ticket and I get my drinks and I get my popcorn. And I'm there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So that's, you know, is that the value for my entertainment? Yeah, I find it worth it. Same thing on a video game. Am I going to spend $70 for 2 hours of entertainment? No, I can go to a movie for $20 and get my entertainment. So there is a limit to it, but a game needs to be as long as a game needs to be, and as long as it can be. Or as short as it can be as well, I guess. So anyways, those are my thoughts on length, guys. Thank you for listening. If you have any opinions on it, please throw the comments down below. Love to hear what you have to say. Love to hear your thoughts on the length of the game. Also, if you have any topics you'd like to get my thoughts on, please throw them in as well, or send me a message. I'd love to cover off some of those topics. Looking to do one of these videos every week or two. So if you have a topic you'd like to hear my opinion on, please throw it down in the comments. Anyways, this video has gone on for long enough, so these are my thoughts on the video game length. Thank you for tuning in. SquallyPillow is out.